Hey everybody, MTG Orzo here with another. Well, I guess it's not another. This is actually first time I'm doing this. So this is obviously not Commander. If you guys are still interested in watching me play Commander, that's still happening. But the reason I haven't, uploaded a lot of videos, even though if like you might have seen, I am online and I'm playing. I've been playing Pauper. I've been playing Pauper, fucking just hours upon hours of my day. I've been playing Pauper, and it's really fun, you guys. I'm really enjoying it. So I figured, what the hell? I might as well, go ahead and share my enthusiasm with this format with you guys. Sorry, I'm in the middle of a six-pack of Miller High Life, the champagne of beers. Cheers. So, I've been playing a lot in the tournament practice room, and that's all well and good. But I mean, the reason I'm playing Pauper as opposed to Commander is that, well, Pauper has prize support, though by the time of this recording, things are moving around in the 1v1 Commander MTGO world where prize supports might become a thing in the future. But right now, I'm playing this hopefully to get up to the level where I can start grinding out leagues, which are a series of 5 matches played over however long you want. I think a league just ended, so the stats are just reset as of tonight. But basically, it's an $8 or 80 play point buy-in with payout. Basically, you're shooting for 3 wins or more. 3 wins or more, 3 match wins rather or more, pays out in cost of entry plus something. So I think 0 wins gets 10 play points. So like every 8 leagues you enter in, you get a free one if you go 0-5 each time. Going 1-4 gives you 20. Going 2-4 gives you 40. Going 3-4, going 3-2 gives you 80 points and a treasure chest, which is something nifty that you might have heard if you're following Magic Online. But 4-1 gives 80 and 3 treasure chests, I think, and 5-0 gives 80 plus 5 treasure chests. So treasure chests is a mechanic to get cards and new like promo arts and shit like that. Like this Diabolic Edict that I picked up is actually a treasure chest promo. It does not exist in paper to my knowledge. But yeah, you get like different kinds of cards for playing in it. Like you can get crappy shit cards that aren't worth anything, but I mean, like, you could get a Black Lotus or a Rashad Import. Who gives a shit? Just pick some $120 card online. You might get it. So that's the goal, is to basically power through some Pauper tournaments, play a lot of decks. I'm very interested in this meta. I'm very interested in playing Pauper. And this deck is one that I really enjoy. It did pretty well the last Pauper League season. Like it's not Tron, and it's not Mono Blue Delver, but it's fairly powerful. The first deck I played, well, the first real deck I played was garbage, but the real deck that I played in any sort of capacity was this Delver deck that I'm going to try and pull up. Maybe I'll give you a glimpse at it, but you might also just see Magic Online shit the bed. Yeah, this is a blue-black Delver Angler list. It's very bad. Please don't judge me for this deck. It's fun to play. It's just, it has like a 35-65 win rate, which is just not good. I really enjoy it. Garmog Angler is one of my favorite cards in Pauper. And I like Delver decks in general. So I mean, I probably will play Izzet Delver and Mono Blue Delver, but the Blue Black Delver list is just not as good right now. And I mean, it might as well be Mono Blue. You're running like 8, 9, or 1, 5. You're running 10 black spells main board, and it just shits on your mana base. It's just not great. But here's this deck. This is my Blue Black Dudes deck, which is it's based around the fact that every guy you has is some good enter the battlefield ability. You can rebuy it with Ghostly, or that's not, fuck off. You can rebuy it with Ghostly Flicker, meaning you just bounce 2 things, and then inside of that it's a blue-black control shell list. I made a couple of changes to the main board that people can like look up on MTGO or MTG Goldfish, I think. Mostly for my personal taste from playing Pauper for a while. My sideboard is almost completely new. So we're gonna kind of take this through, sort of like how I do Commander, and we're gonna pop it into a league after this video. So that should be interesting. So first up, we have lands. So I don't know if you've never played any other format besides Commander, you can notice I have more than one non-basic land because horror rule. Starting with we have the Miser's Bojuka Bog. I don't believe the recommended list on MTGO or MTG Goldfish runs a Bojuka Bog. Bojuka Bog, especially paired with Ghostly Flicker, takes care of a lot of things. Like it hits Rancors, it hits Young Wolves, it hits Stormbound Geists, Undying Tricks with this deck. It also hits. It hits Delver and Angler lists, which you run into them a reasonable amount of times, enough that you need to prepare for it, obviously. So I don't know. I found the Miser's Bojuka Bog pretty good, seeing as how, well, I mean, you're playing a slower deck. A lot of your lands come into play tapped. So having one that instead of gaining a life like wipes out someone's graveyard seems pretty alright to me. Fordemir, Aqueducts, bounce lands are very good in this deck. Not all blue-black control lists play the bounce lands. Like my Angler deck doesn't play bounce lands because the tempo is just not worth it. But in this deck, you can rebuy, like, I think there are 3.5 lands you can rebuy. You can rebuy your Bojuka Bog, these ones, Dismal Backwaters, the life lands from Khans of Tarkir, and the Singleton Radiant Fountain gains 2 life. And you can bounce your Lonely Sandbar for the Miser draw. So Lonely Sandbar is actually kind of a counterpart to Bojuka Bog. I think the list on MTG Goldfish runs a Barrenmoor, which is the black cycling land. So I'm replacing that with a Bojuka Bog because I find the ability to cycle is not as useful as Bojuka Bog. There's already a lot of draw and draw filter in this deck. That might be wrong. I'm still fairly new to this metagame, especially competitively, but if you have any tips, send them my way. Other lands that don't matter, life lands, pretty good. If I have any sort of revelation about these cards during a match, I'll let you guys know, but they're common dual lands that gain you a life. Sometimes they win the game versus aggro. Sometimes you have 3 of these and you keep drawing like Aqueducts while you have relevant spells in your hand and they just can't beat you. We got islands, swamps. We talked about cycling land. We kind of talked about Radiant Fountain. Radiant Fountain is kind of backbreaking against certain aggro and burn decks, especially if you can just combo off with your Aqueducts and your Ghostly Flickers. You can easily gain like 10 life off of this card, and that's like 3.5 cards for burn. which is nothing to fuck with. I guess it's like 3 cards and a needle drop, but that's 4 cards. And then swamps. So 1 drops. We've got a Miser Curfew. I hate Boggles. It's my least favorite archetype in this format because there's just not enough good answers to Boggles. And Curfew's not like a 100% answer, but it doesn't target, so it gets around the hexproof that they all run, and you can use your 10 million bits of removal against their colony tokens or something else that doesn't have 9 enchantments on it, and then cast Curfew for 1 mana, and they have to return it, and they lose everything. It's not terrible. We have 4 Preordains, just one of the best card filtering cards in the game. 3 Disfigures. Disfigures hit a lot of important things in Pauper. Things that don't come back, like they hit Delver, both forms of Delver. Really, they don't hit Oracle, but they hit Chittering Rat, Archaeomancer, and Muldrifter in this deck alone. Hits everything in Suicide Black. Against Burn, it's not very good. It doesn't hit. It doesn't hit like Thermo Alchemist. It doesn't hit Keldon Marauder. So you side these out against Burn. Hits a Kiln Fiend. This card does work in the main board. It's an easy cut against decks that have huge creatures or decks that run big butt creatures. 2-drop, we have a Singleton Prohibit. I really like this card in Pauper because it's like Mana Leak, because I'm a big fan of Mana Leak. Mana Leak's one of my favorite counter spells. I think it's very fair. I think every standard, instead of having cancel, should have Mana Leak. But a lot of your big threats or stuff that you need, like stuff that your removal can't deal with, is going to be 2 or under. And Prohibit gets rid of that for 2 mana. Hard counter, doesn't have to be double blue. And then, if they try to get cheeky with you and cast like the Muldrifter that's going to win them the game, you can kick it. Still only needs 1 blue, and well, you can't counter a Muldrifter, but you know what I mean. Bigger things you can counter with Prohibit. I'm testing this card out. It's not in the main list. I found it to be very good. It trades very favorably in Counterspell Wars because it's not double blue. And it means that you have freedom with your counter spells or dispels or something like that to counter more important things, I guess. 4 counter spells, just because it's common and in blue, and you're probably going to be able to play a counter spell. Same thing with Chainer's Edict. You're in black. It costs 2 and it's a common. You might as well just play 4. One of the better removals. It's not uncommon to just get 3 of these in the graveyard and then start chaining, no pun intended, flashbacks, and you really can't come back from that. I've got 3 Doomblades main board. Kills pretty much everything except for Gurmag Angler that Disfigure doesn't. So these 2 cover each other's bases pretty good. Gurmag Angler is a problem for this deck main board. You have Curfew and your Chainer's Edict and hope they don't have something else out. There's not much else you can do about it. A resolved Angler. But I found Doomblade to be very good as a 3 of in the main board. You don't face a lot of black creature decks. Mono black, I mean, obviously these are terrible. Mono black is kind of, I haven't seen it as much as when I first started playing Pauper a couple years ago randomly. And all I did was play Mono Black. I played Mono Black Control, I played Suicide Black, I played Black Midrange. Fuck it. I love Mono Black and Pauper. But I haven't seen it a bunch, and so 3 Doomblades main board seems pretty good. I mean, these could... If Pauper's mana bases weren't so terrible, this could easily be not this card, fuck you. Fuck this card. This card could be Victim of Night, but Double Black's real hard to pull off. Maybe And now I'm thinking about maybe one of the Doomblades comes out for a Diabolic Edict. But the reason you run these is because targeting is so important. Because everyone knows that fucking Chainer's Edict and Diabolic Edict are commons. So preparing for Edict effects is pretty easy. And sometimes you can catch them off guard. I mean, if it's Boggles, obviously Doomblade doesn't do anything, but the argument for this to be in here is solid. And it's, you know, this card reminds me of when I first started seriously playing Magic again. So I run it. I really like Doomblade. It's a great card. Main board, 1 Echoing Decay. You'd be surprised how much a main board singleton Echoing Decay can do. Spoiler, it's a lot. Having like Curfew, Prohibit, and Echoing Decay as, and I guess Reaping the Graves at this point, like, makes me want to run Mystical Teachings main board, but there's just so much mana. I don't know what I would cut. If you have any suggestions for what I should cut from, if I was going to cut anything from this or the sideboard for a main board Mystical Teachings, please let me know. Mystical Teachings is my favorite common, but this is just not a Teachings deck. Teachings decks are miserable to play against, but I very much enjoy playing them. We got 2 Ghostly Flickers. I've seen some lists runs 3. That seems kind of excessive. You usually find the Ghostly Flickers when you need them. If you ever want to be a real big dick OG, have a Chittering Rat on the field, evoke a Moldrifter, and bounce them both with Ghostly Flicker. You draw 4 and break their next draw step. But it's not bad. It's a real good feeling. Everyone should do that more often. Seagate Oracle, because it's just the definitive 3-drop blue creature. Pretty good. Blocks a lot of stuff. They gotta use a bolt to kill it. Doesn't die to disfigure. This card's very good. This card also comes out as a 4 if it goes down to 3 pretty reliably. Because, like, if I'm gonna have 4 ofs, like, maybe taking on a Moldrifter is better, but like, when we're getting real grindy value, I'd rather have 4 Moldrifters to draw into than like 4 Seagate Oracles. But I'd rather have 4 Seagate Oracles if I have to start a game than have 4 Moldrifters, so that makes sense. Reaping the Graves is a spicy card. This Storm, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, buys back all of your guys, your Oracles, your Rats, your Archaeomancers, and your Moldrifters. And, you know, by the time you're really casting this for value, you've cast several spells. You can get like 2 or 3 pretty consistently. Usually that's the end of the game. That's like tutoring for 3 cards in this deck, because every card this can get is a win condition in our deck. Like, we have to kill our opponent with 2/2s and 1/2s and 1/3s. It's not a lot in life, but it's our lot and it's our life. So this card, just demonic tutoring for 3 of your eaters, is usually the end of the game, if you're in a position to safely cast this. Chittering Rats, just one of the backbones of Pauper. Just really, like, this is a card you fight over in Control Mirrors, because every card they spend like fighting over this card is another card you don't have to deal with. Plus, they still have to put a card from their hand back in their library. So you almost always end up plus card advantage fighting over a Chittering Rat. And even if you lose, it works sort of like a duress, where if you don't, unless you have something very important, you usually don't counter the duress. Like, I can see situations where you counter the duress, but like the general rule of thumb I tell to new players is don't counter the, you don't counter tutors, and you don't counter like hand rip spells, because then they got the card that they probably would have taken anyway, and it's always better to let your opponent make a mistake than you to make a mistake, if that makes sense. Archaeomancers, very good. There's only 2 Like, I wish we had room for 3, but we don't usually. I mean, I remember one turn I had like this crazy like Archaeomancer, Ghostly Flicker, get Disfigure back twice to kill 2 uh, flipped Delver Seekers that would have killed me next turn. That was pretty cool. I mean, it's a regrow on a 1/2. It's alright. Could be better. If this costs 3, it'd be the best card in the universe. And then 4 Muldrifter, probably just like one of the best mid-range cards. If you're trying to get to 5 mana in any deck and you're not playing blue, you're probably playing the deck wrong. The deck could honestly just be better by playing blue. You can just shove Muldrifter in. I mean, Muldrifter is a divination when you need it, and it's a 5 mana 2/2 flyer that draws 2 cards when you don't. It's really hard to argue with that. So that's the deck. Sideboard, I'm going to explain some of my choices. We have 2 Annuls because I fucking hate Boggles. And I don't know if this deck can run an Aura Flux. My Delver deck ran 2 Aura Fluxes, which is alright, but I'd rather just fucking counter Ancestral Mass than just have him pay 2 every turn. I don't know how good this card is because I've only ever played it against like Affinity when that comes out. And it's been okay in Affinity. But this card could easily be something else. It could be more Hydroblast. But I'm a poor piece of shit. I only own 1 Hydroblast. I'm not willing to shell out $30 more for the rest of my Hydroblasts. I got another Curfew for Boggles, and I mean Curfew's a real good answer to a Gurmag Ongler on like turn 3. You just sort of in that tempo swing is very hard to ignore. 3 Dispels, which should probably be like honestly should be 1 Annul, 3 Hydroblast, 2 Dispels. That can't be right. I don't know. The Hydroblast Dispel balance, I guess you can say, is interesting. I don't know. I like Dispel. Dispel hits everything that Hydroblast hits except for Thermo Alchemist. And while I could imagine Thermo Alchemist being a card you go 2 and 2 with Dispel Hydroblast, I mean, Dispel being 2 pennies versus Hydroblast being like $7 is pretty convincing. 2 remove souls, just to be like if Doomblade is the remove soul of black, remove soul is the Doomblade of blue. It's in creature heavy decks. It's a very simple swap to swap out like 2 counter spells for the 2 remove souls, and then your mana curve is better. You don't have to hit double blue turn 2 to not die to a Burning Tree Emissary, which is legal on Pauper now. Everyone saw that. They said it's going to be a month to fix it, and then it wasn't because they realized it was a terrible thing to do. So good job, Wizards, for doing your job. Singleton Stormbound Geist. I really like this card in Pauper. He's a motherfucker to deal with. I can't imagine what this card was like in draft. Like, I played, like, Darkest Engine was one of the sets I drafted. I just don't remember it. I just don't remember this being a huge problem like it was in, like it is in Pauper. Like, you have a 2/2 flyer that becomes a 3/3 flyer, and it's just, ugh. Like, this card is situationally better than Delver. Like, in a vacuum, I'd rather have a Stormbound Geist than a Delver, but it's probably not. It's probably not a different view. Fucking whatever. Black, we've got a bunch of silver bullets. Diabolic Edict is an instant speed edict. If we find we need that, you can easily replace a Chainer's Edict for a Diabolic Edict or a Doomblade or something like that. You have a free instant speed, have to sack. This card works well against Angler decks. And it's got the sick new art. I actually think this art's really, really cool. This art actually looks like old school Magic. I mean, it's no like Vatiel doll falling down from the Nemesis or whatever that. No, the Predator. The Predator was the name of the skyship. But it's a good card. I'm glad this card exists. Another Echoing Decay. We already talked about that. Double Shrivel. Lots of weird rogue decks and non-rogue decks. They run X1s. Like, we don't have any X1s in our deck, so Shrivel is really good. Shrivel is a card that makes me want to run mainboard Mystical Teachings because it's a card that you often need. That and Echoing Decay are just, there's not a lot of board wipes in Pauper. Like, you need to take what you like. Echoing Decay, Shrivel, Evan Carr's Justice. There's just not a lot. So having access to what you have is important, and being able to grab it is similarly important. And then you have Relic. This is recommended to play 2 by the Goldfish list. This deck, I almost want to say that I'm nowhere near as knowledgeable about Magic as the people that run MTG Goldfish or play Pauper for a living, but I like Nile Spellbomb over this one. I don't know. In weird corner cases, this is better. I get it. I just like Nile Spellbomb. It feels like more of a complete card, but who knows. So that's the deck. We're gonna take it through a league. Please hope I don't get fucking annihilated, because that would really just fucking ruin my day. Thank you guys for putting up with non-commander videos. I'm probably gonna start putting up more of these. I'm gonna try not to forget about Commander. Look for a video about Commander pretty soon, because things are happening in the universe. So you guys take care.